So thank you for being with us, and I'm very excited to be here with Renaud Visage, who's the co-founder and CTO of Eventbrite. Just a few statistics for you. Since its launch, Eventbrite has sold 80 million tickets in 175 countries. Renaud, can you tell us a little bit about how Eventbrite came to be 6 years ago?
At the time, the state-of-the-art for organizing an event was posting a flyer on the wall or sending an email to your friends. Facebook, Twitter didn't really exist at the time in the state that they are now. So we saw a big potential for a huge market, the long tail of events that wasn't served at all by technology. There were payment solutions out there like PayPal that we totally utilized to make a product that allowed you, pretty much anyone, to create an event and start selling tickets in a few minutes just with your email address. So we realized that we were onto something pretty early on that nobody had addressed before, and that's really what gave us the idea, and we tried different things at the beginning and really focused on serving this long tail of events where people can want to do things themselves.
And today, Eventbrite has 200 employees. How did you grow the company from 5 to 50 to 200?
So we were very cost conscious throughout the 6 years that we've been in existence. We bootstrapped for 2 years. We had 12 employees by the end of 2008. So it's not like we ramped up from the start with a big team. We scaled very wisely as our business grew, as we raised funding. We raised 5 rounds over the years. The first one was in 2008, then 2009, 2010, 2011. The last one was last year in August for 50 million. So we've been very pragmatic about growing. We've waited to have enough finances to justify it. And we've only taken money that we felt we needed to accomplish something very specific. The last round especially, we took it because we wanted to grow internationally, and we needed the capital to hire people in different countries and just to market ourselves in different places.
Now, as a startup, obviously there's a lot of adrenaline, and everybody's really energized and excited about working together as a team to make it happen. How do you keep that excitement going as a company that has 200 employees?
Yeah, that's an everyday challenge. When you're small, everybody's really focused, really involved. And as you grow, you start hiring people that are very much specialized into one field. And keeping the excitement going is something we are constantly looking after. We make sure everybody knows what the business is doing, where we're going, what products we're developing, that they feel that they own part of it, part of this whole big team of people who are supposed to make things happen. So making sure people are entitled and feel responsible, I think, is a big part in keeping the momentum going and the excitement going. But it's challenging for, I think, any company that goes from a very small team to 200 like we are now. But we are trying very hard. We do everything that we can to make it happen.
Yeah, I know that Eventbrite was voted as one of the best places to work for the last 2 years in the Bay Area. Can you tell us what sort of perks you give employees, how you keep that cultural identity?
Yeah, one of our co-founders, Julia Hartz, is really almost entirely focused on building this company culture. So first of all, you have to know what you stand for, and it's going to be different for every company. As we grew, we identified some values that we stand for: being open, being humble, being friendly. All these things we try to translate into things that our employees can relate with. So it goes from painting all our walls orange in our office when you enter the office, and orange is our color, the color of our logo. But orange is everywhere, and it's something everybody identifies to. So we translate that not only in the color, but also in all the things that we offer employees. We have massages on site, we have free lunches, but I don't think people come just for the perks. They come for the challenge. They come because they feel they're part of something that's bigger than them, that they can help with. And that's really what it's all about, creating a culture where not only it's fun to come to work, but also that you feel that you're contributing to something that's going to be big, that might change some people's life. So that's how we do it, but it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. Now let's switch a little, because I know that many of the people sitting in the audience are probably European entrepreneurs who are looking to internationalize their companies. Can you in the last year, Eventbrite has really put a focus on internationalizing its platform. What has caused you to make that switch?
Even when we were only in English, in 2010, I think we counted how many countries that used our product, and we realized that it was more than 150 that were actually using the product, not every day, but regularly. So we looked at our long-term plans and saw that international was going to be something we should really focus on. And our platform wasn't quite ready to be internationalized, so there was a lot of back-end work that needed to be done. I personally spent a lot of time making sure we could be internationalized pretty soon. And last year we launched in the UK, we launched in Ireland, and this year we launched in pretty much every country in Western Europe. So we see the potential. I mean, events that are going on in the US, there's pretty much the same events going on everywhere in the world, and we really want to be that global brand that people associate with events. So it was pretty much a no-brainer. I'm also biased because I'm personally French, and the other two co-founders are American, so we always had that international feel in the office and outside of the office, and transmitted that to our team as well. So it's been something that was there from the start, but that we waited a few years to do because we wanted to be at a good stage in our development and in our financing rounds to be able to do it properly. That's something we can talk about as well.
Yeah. Well, I think more importantly, you were able to do it successfully. Can you tell us a little more, or give us a few tips on how you were able to internationalize effectively?
You always have to start with your product, so really focus on making your product localizable, have the people who can manage the content, curate whatever user-generated content you have, and make it available, and localize the experience as well. Like if you go to our site, if you go from France, you'll see French events. If you come from Austria, you'll see Austrian events. So you start with a product, but internationalization done the right way involves pretty much every single department in your organization. So you have to involve the legal department to decide how you're going to be doing business in each country. You have to involve your marketing department to see how you're going to promote your service. You have to involve your sales department to see how you're going to sell your product. And every market is different, so you really need to have a full strategy to attack each market separately. So it's not like we can be present everywhere at the same time, and we're not. We're really focusing on a market at a time, making sure we extract as much potential from these markets as we can, and then scale on from that.
Are there any key differences that you see between how Americans use the platform versus Europeans?
Americans in general are much more prone to using new technology. I think Europeans tend to wait a little and stick with what works. So I think that's why a lot of startups are very successful in the US first, because people tend to be more agile maybe in their thinking and wanting to try the new things all the time, whereas we're a bit more pragmatic. We wait a bit longer. And there's a more direct approach in the US, I think, to doing business. So it's pretty. It doesn't rely as much on relationships like in Europe. So that's something we're finding as we're expanding into Europe as well, that we need people on the ground to maintain these relationships.
Now, it's always great to talk about success, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of the mistakes that you may have made along the way.
I feel we could have internationalized earlier. When we started this year, I think we could have started a couple of years before and gained a lot of traction this way. But you have to go with whatever you decide as a strategy. And we made a few mistakes along the way, but I don't think we made that many. I mean, we were always very cautious, we didn't spend money left and right. We still have a lot of money in the bank, which is a great feeling.
You raised 80 million, right? So
yeah, we raised 80 million.
Hopefully some of that should be left.
We have 50 million left, so it's a good position to be in when you have raised so much money, but you still have a lot to spend on expansion, on the different plans that we have for different products.
Now, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of European startups that feel that they need to make it, they move to San Francisco and New York in order to do that. Do you think that's a must for a European startup to make it, or do you think that today European startups have equal opportunity?
I don't think they have equal opportunity, but they have plenty of opportunities. I think where you're located is not as critical as it used to be. Nothing prevents you to open a small office, either just one person maybe in the US, if you want to try to raise capital in the US. There's US VC firms financing companies in Eastern Europe, Russian firms financing American companies. So I think the boundaries are becoming more blurred, and you shouldn't restrict yourself at looking at potential investment in your country. Like, you should go to London and meet the VCs there, you should go to Berlin, you should go to Paris, you should go to SF. You don't know which one will really click with you and will be of value to you. So I don't think place matters as much as it used to. And I encourage everyone to go to the US, network there, see if their idea is well received or not, and get some feedback there.
Speaking of VCs and funding, as I mentioned, Eventbrite has raised $80 million so far. Can you give us a few tips on how you managed to do that?
Well, I think every startup should be writing a story that people want to read. You have to build your characters, you have to build your storyline, you have to build your plot, the different things that go into making the story interesting. So that starts with the founders, and continues with your advisors, with your network, with your product, with your market, how big your market is, of course, how you can monetize, all these things. The prettier picture you build about your potential, the easier it's going to be to sell your idea to VCs. And I think we've been pretty good at building a good picture each time, that we were able to raise money fairly quickly and from pretty well-known investment firms. So as you think about your story, ask yourself, is it good enough? Is it time to pitch or not? Sometimes you're better off waiting a few months until your story sounds much better because you actually launched your product or you actually reached a milestone in the number of users you have. It can be different for different startups. But think about it and tell the story to other people, see how they react. Would they give you $1 million or would they not? I think was one of our, not secrets, but things we did pretty well.
Lastly, I would like to ask you, what can we expect in the future from Eventbrite?
Well, we want to be present in a lot of places, so we'll be continuing our international expansion. We're also adding a lot of features to our mobile apps. I mean, we have great mobile apps for both organizers and attendees, pushing things to you, events that you want to attend. We have a great team working on giving you the best recommendations without you having to do anything. So if you purchase tickets, if your friends purchase tickets, if your friends of friends are purchasing tickets, you'll get recommendations sent to you that are relevant to you and that will make your life easier because you won't have to go through 20 different sites to find out what you're going to be doing next week. So that's something we're investing heavily on. We really want to make everybody's lives easier, both organizers and attendees, and we feel that's one way we can accomplish that.
Okay, great, thank you. We have about 1 minute. If anybody from the audience would like to ask a question, go ahead. Where's the
mic?
Thank you. Just a quick question. How did you handle marketing following successful?
How did we handle it?
marketing?
Okay. Well, we have done it differently in different countries. We hired local people in the UK, for example. We hired evangelists. We hired a VP of marketing in the UK because it was already a fairly big market for us. We do a lot of SEM campaigns in different places. We work with digital agencies in several places as well to build relationships, to build partnerships with different potential partners in different countries. So it's a multifaceted approach to trying different things in different countries and applying what works to other countries. But it's something we're still doing and still figuring out. There's no secret recipe yet.
I think we're out of time, but one more. All right. Who has a more interesting question, you or her?
A lot of Japanese startups launch the service in English, so I guess they do that because they try to address a great audience, large audience. So what do you see how important is speaking multi-language online?
Well, I agree that English should be the first language you launch in. And if you can be multilingual, great, but it has a cost. It's something you need to maintain. So I would be bilingual by default, because you never know where English is going to take you. It took us to 150 countries, and it might take you to the same places. So definitely I would start with English and then add your local language and, as a base, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Renaud. I hope that we helped some of you, and I'm sure that we'll meet later on today, and you'll be able to ask more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.